Good morning, everyone. My name is Janet Warren. I am in the Instruction Materials and Implementation Division, and I welcome you to our publisher webinar about processing orders in EMAT. We will go over several things in our webinar today. There is going to be a part of it that is going to only really be for publishers that process their orders within EMAT with print POs. But if you are a publisher that uses EDI, you still will have benefits for attending this webinar today because you'll still be able to view a purchase order the same way that everyone else is able to do so. And we'll be walking through what a district sees, and you'll be able to assist districts in processing their orders. So I'm going to start. Leanne Lee is also joining as a panelist today, so she can help with answering questions. Please use the question feature or the chat to ask your questions, and we will try to get to those throughout the presentation, and then at the end we'll have another time to answer questions. So we'll go ahead and get started. So today you should be, at the end of this session, you should be able to view purchase orders in EMAT. You should be able to mark orders as shipped, and you should be able to assist districts in using EMAT. So we're going to start with an EMAT demonstration, and I'm going to walk you through several things in EMAT. And then after that, we're going to go over several resources that are available on the TEA website. So I'm going to stop sharing this presentation, and I'm going to share EMAT for you to see. Okay, Leanne, are you able to see the vendor start page?
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. So all of the information I'm going to show you today is in an actual testing environment, not in our production environment. And I created a publisher just called ABC Publisher with some specific items for ABC Publisher to demonstrate for you what you would need to do within the EMAT system. So this is the start page that you would see once you log in through Teal to your vendor start page. To view a purchase order, you're going to click on the purchase order listing. On the purchase order listing, you can change the school year if you need to view a previous school year's orders. You can make it blank if you want to have all of the school year orders come up from, it goes back to 2009-10 school year when we first moved to this current platform. You can change the status and only search by specific statuses. If you leave it blank, it will pull all the statuses. You can search for a specific purchase order number, but for our demonstration today, I'm just going to leave it as the 2021-22 school year. I'm going to leave the purchase order status as blank and the purchase order number is blank, and click search, and it will show me the orders that are processed or that have purchase orders in the system. These are all test orders I created for our demonstration today. Another important feature that is relatively new is the select output type. Typically, it's going to default to PDF, but if you would like to open it in an Excel format, you can do that. The Excel format may need a little bit of cleaning up, but it will still have the same information that you would see on the PDF format. So to view a purchase order, you are going to click on the purchase order ID. And I'm going to view this one right here for Austin ISD. It will open in a new window, and it's going to show you the purchase order number, which is the order ID. It's going to show you the order status. This is dispatch. That means it's ready for you to process. And it's going to show you the requisition ID. That's what the districts see on their side when they're creating the requisition. It's going to tell you the requisition type, and this is a program requisition. That means that the district ordered complete programs. There are typically a lot more program requisitions than component requisitions, but if a district needed to order only a specific component, then they would submit a component requisition instead of an entire program requisition. It's going to show you the rec complete date. So that was the date that we approved it and that the purchase order was created. And it's going to show you the ship date. In the summer, districts are able to select preferred summer ship dates when there'll be someone available at their school to receive that shipment. Once the school year begins, it will default automatically to 7 days. So you can see this one has June 7th as the ship date when the order was submitted and approved on May 27th. This is also new on the order summaries. It's going to have the contact of the district user that created the requisition. It's going to have the delivery address, and then it's going to have that contact's phone number that's listed and email address that's listed. That is used to, you had to get that information from your district, your vendor start page, and we added that to the order summary to make it more convenient for the publishers to find that information. And then you'll see that this has 3 different lines showing, and it'll show you that the line status is active, that this is it has the multiple list code, and I'll show you how to get to the multiple list codes when we go to the TEA website. A multiple list code is just a 4-digit code that has the grade level and subject area ID for a specific course. It'll show you the ISBN, it'll show you the product title and the quantity that was ordered, and then the unit price that's for that order, and then the total cost. Once you process this, it's going to add some shipping details below, and that's where also you'll see the payment information once it pays out. So this is how you view the purchase order, and you can see what needs to be processed. Since it opens in its own window, you can just X out of it when you are finished viewing it, and it'll take you back to your list of purchase orders. So we talked about that there were 2 different types of requisitions, and we talked about the information that you can see on the purchase order. One other thing I wanted to mention is that we talked about that you could sort or filter by the PO status. The PO status is also listed on the chart. Dispatched means that it is still an open PO, that either none of the PO has been processed and shipped, or maybe a part of it has been processed and shipped, but not the entire thing. Once everything has been processed and shipped to the district, then it will change the status to complete. And if we need to cancel an order in for any reason, then it could show that the PO status is canceled. It'll only show the main PO status here. Within the purchase order, when you click on the PO ID, if a specific line was canceled, let me open another one to show you that, it would show here on the line status. So if this line was canceled, then it would show the word canceled there. So once you have viewed your purchase order and then internally you work at your company to ship those materials to the district, then you'll need to come back into EMAT to mark that order as shipped. So we're going to look at this same purchase order that we previously did, and you're going to click Ship Items. Once that page comes up, you're going to select your shipping method. After the agency is going through a CAPS upgrade right now, so we are not able to make any changes to EMAT. But once that CAPS upgrade is over during the close to the end of the summer, we're going to add the other option here as a drop down. I wanted to add it before EMAT reopened, but we were already in a code freeze, so I wasn't able to do that. So if you are not using one of these that are listed, for now, you'll just pick a shipping method. And once we're able to add the other option, then you could choose that. Once you pick your option, you're going to, for each line, mark the quantity that you are shipping. If you only have a partial amount that you're able to ship right now, then you can enter the number that you are shipping. If you have the entire amount ready to go, then you would enter the entire quantity. So I'm going to put that there are 75 that I'm ready to ship. The invoice number is going to be generated by the publisher. So it's going to be whatever your internal invoice number is for that specific purchase order that TEA sent to you. So for this example, I'm just going to say test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as my invoice number. And then the tracking number we'll say is TX 78612. And your shipping number you'll get from your shipping method, however you ship the materials, whatever tracking you have for that, you'll enter that here. You'll do the same for all of the lines or everything that has been shipped. And then you're going to click Save. And then once you have marked that as shipped, then you'll have a link. It's not showing in my testing environment right now, but you'll have a link at the bottom down at the bottom to go back to your previous page. So I'm going to use this link right here to get back to my previous page. And get back to my purchase order listing. And as you can see, I only marked one thing as shipped at that time. So if I need to go back in later when I finish shipping my items, I'll click back on that link and ship the rest of my materials. During the overnight process that runs in EMAT, it will show that information in our system. Showing those items as shipped is submitting the invoice. So you do not need to mail or fax paper invoices to TEA. You'll just mark it as shipped, that it has been shown in there. Once all the items have been marked as shipped, then this PO status will change to complete. And I'm going to click back on here to show that we have seen that we now have this first line was marked as shipped. 75 were ordered, 75 were shipped. There's still the fields available to mark the others as shipped. Oh,
Janet, there's a question in the chat. Can a confirmation message be shown that our shipping save was successful?
Right now, there is not a confirmation message, but you can go back in and see that your quantity was shipped, because it's going to show you whatever the prior quantity was. If you had only shipped 50 of these and needed to go back in, then it'll show that 50 were shipped, and there'll be the fields available to enter the rest of your quantity to show as shipped. So right now, that's our workaround. You can just go back in it and show that it is marked as shipped there. And the link is up at the top. It was just missing it to go back. You do want to use the links within EMAT to go back to each page. That's the easiest way to navigate within the system. So now we have seen, I see that there's a question or a comment in the chat. It's not going to show the status as complete until everything on that purchase order has been shipped and the overnight process has run to finish that process out. That's why it's not showing right now as complete. And I'm going to go back to my page. While we're looking at the vendor start page, I want to show you a couple other things. There is, if you need to view additional contacts for a for a district, you can click here on the view district contacts. The same with the addresses if you want to view the addresses, but that information for the delivery address that was selected on the requisition and the district contact that submitted the requisition is shown on the purchase order summary. The other thing I wanted to point out is this reports link. On the reports link, you can get to the item search. Districts can also get to this. If you want to look at what a district sees for your specific items, you can click the item search link. You can search by the multiple list code. You can search by the ISBN. When you search by ISBN, you do not want to put any dashes in. You only want to put in the numbers. And there is, if you do have a ISBN that has an extension on it, like a -SE or -8YR, then you can put in the ISBN and put a % symbol at the end of it, and it will pull everything with that ISBN in it. You can also select the different types. For your purposes, you will only want to look at the SBOE adopted, and you can search by title. The title field is a little finicky. It's better to search by keywords there, or you can search by publisher, and that's a drop down. And so I selected my ABC publisher. I clicked search, and it shows me the options for ABC publisher. Now, when you do this, you'll only see this row right here, the little piece of paper with an arrow on it that will show you the item details. These other two boxes here are only seen internally. So we're going to click on the item details for one of these items so that you can see it real quickly. It will show the information, a lot of the information that you put in your official bids. It's going to have, of course, the name, the ISBN. If there is comments that were included, it's going to show the publisher. It's going to show the multiple list code, the price, the TEAX percentage. And then down here, it's going to show the components that are part of that package. To close out of this, you can click the X for cancel. I'm just going to click the X. And then you can return to reports or click cancel here. And then if you need a list of all the district contacts, and you can use this district and charter EMAT and AIM contacts. There are two different roles you can select. The EMAT ordering access is going to probably be the one you would want to choose, because those are going to be the people that are in EMAT ordering. There are users that only have view-only access for their district, and they can just like run reports and see the things that have already been processed in there. Also, with that, you would select it and click OK. I'm not going to run it right now, but if you want to change the format to see that in an Excel format instead of a PDF format, you can change the output up at the top of your page. Okay. So I'm now going to go back to my start page. And I believe we have walked through the things I wanted to show you on viewing a purchase order and marking a purchase order as shipped and the reports page. So now we're going to view what a district sees. So I'm going to go to a district start page. And again, you won't have all these options that I have over on the side. Those are going to be for internal use only. So this is what a district start page looks like. They have two different types of requisitions, like we talked about, for EMAT. And then there are different types of requisitions for accessible instructional materials. So first, we're going to look at a program requisition. And to start, if you are assisting a district and these links are not active, as you can see if I hover over them, and it's a blue link, it's an active link, then if it's not an active link, then that means they need to do some type of prerequisite to make sure that they have access to order. So there's the allotment and TEAC certification form, and you can see up here, this one was received, and their summer ship dates have been completed. So if those two things are done, they may need to confirm their contacts and their addresses. But once all of those prereqs are done, then these links will be active and they can go in and order. So we're going to look first at a program requisition. You have your requisition summary page and then your program requisition. On the program requisition and the component requisition, you're going to work from left to right. They're first going to select a grade level. And for this purpose, I'm going to select 6th grade. I'm going to select math. And I'm going to select the ISBN. Here, they're going to see the names of all of the items. They're going to see the ISBN. They're also going to see the publisher. They can click on these links at the top to sort that. So here is my example for ABC Publisher. So I'm going to select that option. It's going to automatically populate the ISBN and the title and the price. Then I'm going to enter the student quantity that I need. We'll say that I need 25 of these, and that I would like 1 teacher edition. Now, most of the products, not all, but most of the products that are ordered by student will have a ratio of student materials that need to be purchased to receive a teacher edition for free. Districts can see this information typically on the item details. And of course, I picked one that doesn't have a ratio, so I'm going to cancel that. So typically, the ratio is going to be seen either in the ratio spot or in, if it's an older item, it's going to be in the description. But if they ordered 25 student editions and that's not enough to supply a free teacher's edition, then you would not be required to send that teacher's edition to that district. If it is a proclamation 2017 and newer material, then they can order that teacher edition through a component requisition to purchase it. If it's older material, like this example, I pulled this from math, so that's actually proclamation 2014. They would have to contact the publisher directly to pay for that teacher edition if you chose not to send that to them based on the ratio of what they ordered. If they need more than one thing on this requisition, then they will click the plus sign to add an additional row. And I'll select one other thing. We'll look at 7th grade English. And then I'm going to sort by the publisher and select my example for ABC Publisher. This one has a ratio of 60 to 1. So if they ordered 60 student editions, then they'll get one teacher edition. So I'm going to put in the 60 that they wanted to order and one teacher edition. Then they will save their work. One thing it is important to remember when you are putting titles in for your materials is this is what they're going to see. If they do not click on this item details, they're not going to see any additional information about the product. So it's important that the titles are descriptive and that they know what they're going to get, especially if you have multiple packages that are very similar. There needs to be differences within those packages so that they can see that. And I do see in a question that the TEKS percentage for pre-K, it's going to say TEKS percentage, but it is the TPG percentage that was entered into that field. It's going to say TEKS percentage because that field is titled the same way on all of the materials in EMAT.
We had another question that might be beneficial. I went ahead and typed in an answer in the Q&A, but it might be beneficial for everyone to hear. Someone wanted to know if the district has to do anything on their end, like say to receive the order in order for it. Let me read you the exact question. From the time the teacher makes a requisition to the payment on the invoice, does the teacher or other administrator need to mark it as received before the payment is processed?
So no, with the way the system is right now, the order is done by the district. It sends the purchase order to the publisher. The publisher goes in and marks it as shipped after they have physically or electronically shipped those materials to the district. And marking it as shipped is the invoice. At this point in time, there is not a way for the districts to go in and mark it as received. And yes, that is a good question.
And there's another one that's just asking, it seems like there's a lot of white space in EMAT in the system. Could it be redesigned so that the text fields are easier to read and larger?
At this time, there is not a plan to do that, but we can definitely look into that once the upgrade is over to see if we could add some additional space on some of those fields. Okay, so we're going to go back to looking at our program requisition. We have saved the 2 lines that we wanted to show or that we wanted to order. Then they will go back to their requisition summary. They will check their delivery address, and they will check the ship date to make sure that's the date they wanted. And then they will, they can click view print requisition summary if they want to print a copy of a PDF version themselves. And then they will click submit to TEA. Once it's submitted to TEA, then if they go back to their start page, they're going to see that it is in submitted status. My team goes in and looks at those requisitions. So we would view this submitted requisition. If there are any issues, we would reopen it for the district to make corrections. We can, or we would approve it if we think it looks correct. If we approve it and get notification the same day that it has an error on it, then we could still reopen it. But once we approve it and the process runs overnight, then a purchase order has already been created and has been sent to the publisher. So at that point in time, we cannot just reopen the requisition. At that point in time, the purchase order would have to be canceled to make an update to that. Now, I know many publishers are very on top of looking at their orders every day and processing those orders very quickly. So if a district contacts us about needing to cancel an order, before we go in and do any type of cancellation, we will contact the publisher first to make sure that order has not already been processed. If the order has already been processed, then the district would have to fill out after they receive the materials, would have to fill out a shipment error report and try to return those materials to the publisher. If we contact the publisher and the order has not been processed yet, then we can cancel it in EMAT, and then the publisher, of course, would not ship those materials.
And Janet, you might be covering this, but we did have a question about back-ordered material. Someone asked, what if certain components are back-ordered when the program is shipped?
So there's not a way, through EDI, there's a way to mark things as back-ordered. But when you're processing your orders manually and marking them as shipped, there's not a way to show that. But what you do need to do is contact the district, ship what you're able to ship, contact the district, and let them know that whatever materials are on back order, what those materials are, and when you expect to be able to ship them. And typically you would email us and let us know that information as well, but we are moving to the help desk ticketing system. So you could submit a help desk ticket to let us know if there are materials that are on back order. Let us know the district, the purchase order number, and when you expect those materials to be shipped, and also that you let the district know that those materials were on back order.
And can you go over the invoice numbers again? Someone wanted to know where they're generated.
So the purchase order numbers are generated in the system, but an invoice number is going to be an internal number that is created by your company. So whatever number you have associated with that order in your internal process, that's what you would put for your invoice number. That is a publisher generated number. We're going to also go ahead and look at a component requisition. And a component requisition is going to look very similar to the program requisition, but this will only be used if they need to order specific components. They'll click on the component requisition. You can see the layout looks almost identical to the program requisition, but we have two different ISBN fields here. They'll have to pick the program ISBN to drill down to the component that they want to select. Also, it's important to remember that this process started with Proclamation 2017. So if you have materials that were adopted through Proclamation 2014 or Proclamation 2015, they're not going to be available through this process. So I'm going to show you this 7th grade example again. I'm going to mark, as you can see, there's only 3 MLCs listed here for 7th grade because those are the things that have been adopted since Proclamation 2017. So I'm going to select 7040, which is English Language Arts and Reading. I'm going to select my program that I want to get a component from. You can see here, this is the item details. That's going to be for the program itself. It's going to show all of the details like we looked at on the item search. And then you're going to click, they're going to click the magnifying glass and select the component that they want to order. So here we're going to select the consumable student edition. They just needed a few extra copies for additional growth. And so let's say they only needed, let's say 10 additional copies. It's going to calculate out the amount. And if they need to add additional rows, they can click the plus sign to add more components. Let's say they needed a teacher edition as well. So again, they select 7th grade. They would click the MLC that is needed. They would select the ISBN for the program that they want to get the component from. And then they click the magnifying glass to see the components. And let's say they needed a teacher edition as well. You can see here when they selected a student edition, the student requisition quantity field was open. This was a teacher edition, so the teacher field is what's going to be open. Also, this here is the component details. It's not as detailed as the program details, but it does have some information there if they would like to look at it. And then once they have selected the materials they want to order, of course, they will need to save their work. We advise districts to save their work frequently, especially if they are working on something and then get busy and leave it. It can time you out of EMAT. And so it's always good to save work often. So if you're helping a district, that's a good tip to share with them. They'll go back to the requisition summary. They'll view again their delivery address, the date that was selected, and then if they want to print their requisition summary, they're able to do that. And then they will submit it to TEA. And then they can go back to their start page. As you can see, as these orders are being submitted, it's taking that money out of their allotment, even though it hasn't technically been paid to anyone yet. This is so that they aren't able to overspend. So those are the 2 requisitions, the 2 types of requisitions. The last thing I wanted to just kind of point out is sometimes a district will order directly from a publisher. And if they want to do that, then they're not going through EMAT to get the purchase order. If they're ordering directly from you, then they'd have to enter an allotment disbursement. And I'm not going to go completely through this process, but I'm just going to show you an example of an instructional materials allotment disbursement. They would select the disbursement category of instructional materials, and then they have to fill out all of this information on the material that they're purchasing directly from the publisher. If it has a drop down or a magnifying glass, they have to choose from the options provided. If not, they can type directly into the field. One thing we've changed recently is in the course name field, we're asking that they put the course names that are in the PEAMS data system to try to help with when we are looking at the data from these disbursement requests. They will also have to put in a TEAX percentage, so they may contact you asking you what the TEAX percentage is for this particular material. And then once they enter all that information and save their work and submit it, then again, my team will review this information and approve it if it's an allowable expense. And then once it's approved, then these funds that they requested will go directly to the district, and the district will pay the publisher directly for these orders. So this, even though they do it within the EMAT system, this isn't the same as selecting state adopted materials from a requisition, like we showed here on the program and component requisition. Okay, Leanne, are there any other questions we need to cover about
Not yet.
this? Okay, great. All right, so I am going to stop sharing within EMAT, and then we're going to look at the presentation one more time. Okay, so we're going to talk now about some resources that are available within EMAT. Within on the TEA website. So we're going to talk about publisher resources and some district resources that you might find helpful as well. So the publisher resources, we are currently creating a one-pager that goes through viewing a purchase order and marking a purchase order as shipped. And as soon as we have that document finished, we are going to post it on the publisher portal. And I'm going to show you how to get to the publisher portal in just a moment. And then also, we're going to talk about the instructional materials help desk, and that there are several FAQs that will have beneficial information if you are looking to get a question answered. You may want to check there first to see if we already have information posted about it. And if not, then you can always submit a help desk ticket to get your question answered. For the district resources, we're going to cover the EMAT training that we have available. There are also FAQs directly for district questions. We're going to talk about the publisher and depository contact information link that is available on the TEA website, and then how you can update that information if we have something incorrect on there. There is the shipment error report that we talked about briefly. If a district has to return some materials, or that the materials came to them damaged and they need to get those materials replaced, they'll fill out this form, and then also how to get to the multiple list codes. So I'm going to stop showing that, and I'm going to show you how to get to all of this information on the TEA website. So I just went to the main TEA website at tea.texas.gov. Everything for instructional materials is going to be under the academics tab. So if you hover over academics, you'll see down here instructional materials. The black link will take you to the main instructional materials page, or you can use any of the blue links to get to a specific section of the TEA website. So I'm going to go to the main instructional materials page first. It looks a little different if you haven't been on there recently. We recently did an update of our instructional materials pages on the TEA website. We still have announcements up at the top. There is a link here for the technology and instructional materials allotment that provides some information to districts about the allotment and some allowable expenses. You can see we have some tabs here or some tiles here, those are the same options that you see here on the dropdown. And then down at the bottom, we have some EMAT reports. So under the adopted materials EMAT reports, there is your multiple list codes. There is the current adoption bulletin that runs from EMAT it runs nightly. So if you had an item that needed to be updated and we updated it today, then tonight the process will run and it'll show tomorrow the correct version on the current adoption bulletin. There's a separate newly adopted instructional materials. Right now, that's going to show the pre-K materials that were adopted through Proclamation 2021. And then here is that multiple list codes that we talked about. Let me go ahead and open that real quick. It shows the 4-digit code and the subject area for all of the subject areas and grade levels. As you can see, it's 5 pages and it's in order from kindergarten through or pre-K through high school. We have the daily reports these are also run through EMAT. So any requisitions that are approved today will be added to this overnight and you can see an updated list tomorrow. Okay, so that's just the main instructional materials page. We're going to first look at the publisher portal, which you can get to here by visit the publisher portal. Here are some training videos. This is where we will post this webinar after we have finished today. I'm not sure if I would hope it'll be posted by next week, if not earlier. And this is also where the one-pager will be posted. It'll probably be posted right under the webinar as some additional information that goes with this webinar. Also, I'm planning on posting the post-contractual bidding and item updates training in this section as well. This also has lots of other information and helpful resources that you can scroll through and look for those additional resources. Also, I wanted to, let's go back to the main instructional materials page. I wanted to show you how to get to the help desk. So on this blue bar, you have the help desk link. And also on this blue little tab that says request IM support. Both of them will take you to the same page, which is the instructional materials help desk. This one will take you automatically to instructional materials, where this link here will take you to the main help desk page, and you have to click on the instructional materials tile to get to the help desk for instructional materials. We are going through an update for our help desk. So right now there are these 6 tiles that you can see FAQs for or to submit a request. The titles of these tiles will be changing in the summer at some point, but you can still get the same type of assistance from them once you get here. You'll just have to look to see which tile you need to submit your request through. If you have, you can look at the FAQs and see if any of these questions are the question you are looking for an answer to, and then you can click on it to get your answer. So here is how to view orders that have been placed in EMAT. And basically it's a very short answer, but it's what I showed you. You're going to click on your purchase order listing, and then you'll click on the PO. Okay, so we're going to go back to the instructional materials page. The other things I'm going to show you are here are the EMAT training and instructions. This has training videos that several of them have recently been updated. The program and component requisition ones, still have pertinent information, but have a few things that need to be updated on them, and we hope to get that done very soon. And so you can view any of these if that would be beneficial to you, or you can also point districts to these if they're having issues, or you can point them to the help desk and we can assist them with any EMAT issues they're having. And then the other thing I wanted to point you to is this ordering instructional materials. We have here is the publisher, depository, and contact information. This is where a district's going to go to find information if they need to contact a publisher about how to order, or if they've made an order and now have an issue with that order, or just have questions about some of those materials. We update this with the new publishers for Proclamation 2021 are on here. It has the course names. The depository column is relatively blank right now because Archway moved out of the state of Texas. So there is still one publisher using Archway, but they're using it from the Oklahoma location, not the Texas location. If you notice that the information on here is incorrect, or you want to add additional contact information here, submit a help desk ticket and we can update this for you so that it has the correct information. The other thing I wanted to point out is this shipment error report. And actually, you have to click the open in Acrobat, and I've already have it open. So I'm going to just show it to you here. This form needs to be updated because we are no longer asking that they submit it through email, and we are to TEA through email, and this publisher and depository link needs to be updated to be the most up-to-date contact information. But what the district will do is if they have an order that has, let's say, a damaged order that they received, they're going to fill out this information and they are going to send this to you, the publisher, to let you know the issues, and they're going to send a copy of it to us. And then once you and the district have worked out a resolution to the issue, then you'll provide information here in this section, and you'll send this back to the district, or you can send it to the district, but also to TEA so that we know that there's a resolution. If an order has been returned to you, and you then would submit a credit memo to TEA through the help desk so that we can show that that order that you've already been paid for has been returned. And once that happens and we process the credit memo in EMAT, it will put those allotment funds back into the district's allotment, and it will put a hold on your account for the amount of the credit. And then as future orders get paid, it'll go against that hold until that hold zeroes out, and then you'll be paid for the additional materials that have been shipped. Let's see. Okay, I feel like that has pointed you to everything I wanted to show you on the help desk and on the TEA website. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. And we've had several good questions that have come up during the webinar today. If you have any additional questions, please go ahead and put those in the chat or in the question and answer section. And if you think of questions after this webinar is over, then please go and submit an instructional materials help desk ticket. I showed you how to get to that on the TEA website. and you can, and we'll answer those questions. It'll be routed to whoever is best to answer that question for you. The help desk is also your best way to get a hold of your publisher liaisons now, because they're the whole instruction materials and implementation division is using this help desk link. So if you need to have a question to the review and adoption team, you'll submit the help desk ticket. If it's about EMAT and you need help with EMAT, then also submit the help desk ticket. Leanne, were there any other questions that came up?
There aren't any other questions right now.
Perfect. I really appreciate your time and attending today. And please contact us if you come up with any other issues or questions through the help desk. And again, this has been recorded and will be posted on the publisher portal as soon as we have it available. Thank you for your time today.